To the commissioners to change the code to ordinance. The first one deals with filing information that the current code requires the rent board to file no later than February 15th with the commissioners. And the second one deals with a capital improvement surcharge. I believe everyone's been given copies of what we are addressing. And I'll talk to the first one is the filing information. Essentially what we are recommending is that instead of a detailed report, which is required by the current code, that we file a summary report with the commissioners stating where we stand with respect to compliance with the ordinance, which is primarily the 5% limit on increases on those apartments that are governed by the law. And then any other information which we deem appropriate for the commissioners to have, such as maybe perhaps vacancy rates or average rents on the apartments that we do cover. We can now do this because of the good work the IT department has done in inputting all of the rents that we collect in the end of the year. The second recommendation is to amend the rent control code. Back in 2013, there was an ordinance went through to change the process and the conditions for a hardship increase. At the time that section was put into the code, online, so if you go online and see it, the portion that covered capital improvement surcharge was deleted, unintentionally, I believe unintentionally. So at this point in time, we would like to reintroduce that particular provision, and we were working on modifying it to make it clearer how the process goes and to make those changes at this time. Essentially, the process parallels that for a hardship increase as far as what has to be submitted, the timing of the submission, and the fee for submitting it. And then we also would recommend that the section E that's currently in the code be labeled F and apply to both capital improvement surcharge and the hardship increase. This is for an escrow account for the fees that we may have to collect for professional services. And if you have any questions, we have to answer them.
I have a question. And it's a question where I don't know if you have jurisdiction over this or not. This past summer, we were getting calls from primarily senior citizens where they have to wait sometimes ridiculous amounts of time for landlords to make repairs to certain things that could very well be affecting their health. I'll give you an example. Two examples. One is a couple of seniors called, air conditioners completely broke, and there's very, very hot days, and the landlord said, we're coming. They don't show up for a week and a half. Another one, the rails, if you're walking down, you got the handrail. One rail fell or something that didn't work. The landlord's coming, doesn't show up for weeks later. This is a hardship for people that are disabled. Right. Do you have any jurisdiction?
The way the code works is that we are the last resort. In other words, they will come to us sometimes, and we will refer them to either the health department, if it's in that jurisdiction, or code enforcement, if it's the railings or things of that nature, and tell them to go there. That is really the primary jurisdiction. If there is no satisfaction received from those two organizations, then the code says you can come to us and we will intervene for them. But not until it's the last resort.
So we have to do a better job in getting the word out as to what the process is. Yeah. Okay.
See, I agree with Commissioner Rogers, and I had a similar question. It seems to me that before someone is granted a hardship increase or of some sort of improvement increase, that the board should require some approval or some letter written from the health department, right, that says they passed, as well as the code enforcement board, that they've been out there and they physically looked at the property that what's being represented meets the satisfactory requirements of our ordinances and our codes.
I agree, and in fact, there is part of the provisions in the proposed,
So I was just confused when you were saying we're the last resort.
well, this is if there's a, well, no, the student, if I understand what you're saying, is if they're coming to us for a hardship increase or for a capital improvement increase, we will not grant that unless code enforcement says everything's up to snuff in there, if the fire department, and all the taxes are paid, that's part of it.
But I'm
This,
adding to that is very clearly.
Commissioner
is-
Rogers say, what I understand there is if it's they have not applied for anything, it's just an ongoing, there's an issue in an apartment.
But the Commissioner Evans brings up a good point. If it's an ongoing thing, then why would we approve it?
We would not,
Anyway.
if there are outstanding issues, code violations, we would not grant the increase.
Yeah.
And that's written into
All I'm
the,
suggesting is that the language, right, be clear enough and straightforward enough that basically says, if you want any kind of increase, you better have maintained your property. It should meet our codes and our standards. We shouldn't have to have the resources of the town absorbed in going back for repeat visits. We shouldn't have people in town saying, I'm trying to get this resolved for months. I think we should strengthen that and not be basically the source of last resort. You should have the ability to listen to rental requests. I think you should be able to put landlords on notice that this is what we require. And I think being more definitive about what you require before the board, whether it's a hardship increase, a regular increase, or any kind of increase, whatever it is.
To regular, then there's some teeth if you go regular. If you don't, in the time that I've been on the rent board, there's been one application for a hardship and one for a capital improvement over that 8-year period. It's not something that's very frequent, so that would have no teeth from your situation. But if we built into the code that no increase could be granted if there's a violation of the requirement, that would be a whole different. Then there would be teeth in there that we could go.
But we
could
need
hold
to,
back on the increase.
and we may have, between code and health department, we need to have a mechanism in place where they're gonna have 30 days to me, there's no excuse to have anyone wait 3 weeks for an air conditioner in this heat, especially out of the apartment. So the question I'm asking is, do we have to build something into the ordinance?
Well,
Isn't there a provision that says that's a health emergency?
Yeah.
And that you have 48 hours, 24 hours to respond to that?
With that, we have to put some teeth into it. Thing with the rail, I mean,
But they don't meet every once a month.
And
So they don't have, for an emergency situation, it's gonna
Yeah, you
have
don't.
to be code enforcement.
that's right. We
Right.
refer them to.
All I'm
the
looking at is the provisions that says in your ordinance that there are certain situations that would dictate there's an emergency situation. It should lead to, obviously, the health department and the code enforcement department, but people should know that they have greater recourse than waiting for your committee to meet once a month.
We do
That's what I'm
get,
trying to
people come in and they will notify us
well,
between meetings, but the question is.
well, why don't we do this, okay? At least from what I could do now is, when we get a complaint like that in the health department, we're gonna CC a copy to you.
Okay.
Right, so you'll have at least something on record. I don't know who's coming to you or who's looking for what. The other thing is the fear
And the
factor.
code officer will do the same. That's a good idea.
The code officers are very responsive to anything that we send. I mean, within hours, we don't have to wait at all. I mean, they're out there
They
within
don't
hours.
wait. They don't wait.
But the other thing is the fear factor. We especially our elderly, they're very afraid to call landlord, believing that they're going to be thrown out, that they're going to be penalized somehow. So we have to, I think, when I say we collectively, that includes me, maybe somehow get the word out. Don't fear. You're not going to be put out on the street.
Well, I mean, eviction process is different.
Yeah, but they don't know it. They're
Well, the eviction problem is very, very different. Obviously, you're going down a different path. Right? Non-payment of rent is actually a whole new arena.
well, Commissioner, I'm
and
talking
we're
about.
discussing about it.
They're worried about, gee, if I call my landlord, I'm like a pain, they're gonna get angry at me.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard that over and over and over
As long
again.
as they're paying the rent, we're in this one arena. If they don't pay the rent, that goes to the.
That's a whole different issue.
So what I'm gonna ask is that Mr. Hammond
put together a red line version of the ordinance again for Mr. Tempo, so he could distribute it to the commissioners, so we can go through it, and go from there.
I have one question though, is it the desire of the commissioners to do a third change, which would put some teeth into about any increase if there's a violation of,
Hey, why don't you let Joe and I work on that? We'll put something
because
together.
this doesn't,
There's no reason for it not to be in there.
right,
really.
but these two would not address that situation.
That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, it's a
They
good
do,
idea.
they don't address, these two do not
Do
address
not,
the
yeah,
situation.
we're gonna add a third, we're gonna have to add
I have to add a third one.
I just don't want to be in a situation where people are feeling is that the ordinance isn't complete enough or clear enough, and therefore everybody walks around and says, I'm confused, I don't know what to do. And the reality is, there are things that can